If supervising ever makes you think there has got to be an easier way to do this, you're in the right place. Dr. Ashley Stevens and I have pulled together our best supervision hacks, the ones that save your sanity, tighten up your documentation, and avoid those, what am I forgetting moments supervisors know all too well. Hey, I'm Dr. Kate Walker, and I am joined by my colleague, Dr. Ashley Stevens, who teaches our social work supervisor course. And we are going to lay down some hacks for you, and hacks especially for you if you're a supervisor or thinking about becoming one. One of the things we hear about a lot or we see a lot, we've got people who are on the fence about supervising, and somebody's scared them away. And we're like, no, 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 come back. We want to help you, make a difference in your community by supervising the next generation of counselors and social workers. So come on back. But we are also talking to you supervisors who maybe have been burned by a supervisee, or you got into supervision and you just got overwhelmed because it is such a different lane than counseling or doing social work. So we want you back too. So if you have started supervising and stopped, or maybe you're hanging on to that designation and you're thinking, oh, when it's the perfect time, you're trying to Goldilocks this thing, right? We want to make this super cozy, nurturing space for you where you'll dive in and get back into supervising. So supervision hacks. Ashley, I went first last time. You go first this time.
Okay. I looked this up on my phone to make sure I had it right. So my first hack is a app on your phone called Telemental Health Laws. So I talk a lot about knowing your state laws, particularly when it comes to things like mandated reporting, processes to report, laws about reporting, all of those kinds of things. So this telemental health law app is created by lawyers, and people ask that all the time, like, have you gotten this cleared by a lawyer? Look, do whatever is best for you and yours, okay? But this is an app that was created by a massive law firm that is global and who specializes in mental health specifically. So if you're looking for, I live in Hawaii and I'm about to move to Indiana, what are the rules? Or I want to supervise. I'm from Texas, but I think Vermont is a great state to supervise in. Then you need some information that is really readily available. You have your phone on you all the time. It separates it by individual state and the laws surrounding things with mental health. Now, is it going to give you specific supervision? Sometimes, the bulk law is in there and it touches on supervision, but sometimes it doesn't. But the reason I think it's a hack is because I think having readily accessible, very easy, quick ability to look up what's the law say about X, Y, or Z if a supervisee is asking is unmatched and like no, invaluable. That's the word I want. It is such an amazing app. Obviously, things update sometimes, so make sure that you're finding, when you're not on your phone, when you're back on your laptop, that you can find what you need. But it is immaculate when it comes to looking for those rules, looking for the laws in a quick, easy, and all in one place.
And even if you're thinking, well, I'm never going to supervise across state lines, I always think the what ifs. I can't tell you how many times Ashley and I have seen, on the internet and all the social media, hey, my client is traveling to Vermont. Can I still do therapy with them? And so if that's your supervisee and their client is going to Vermont, unless you all are in Vermont, right? You need to know whether or not they can do that. And
Yes.
so that app, I remember that came out like soon after COVID when everybody was
Yes.
wanting to travel around and
Yeah.
do therapy.
It's
So
great.
that's
It's
that's a
really
great
great.
hack. I like that
Hmm.
one. All right. So my hack is having a planner and an onboarding checklist. So, shameless plug, these are things we talk about in the Kate Walker Training Supervisor courses for counselors and social workers. So, having just a checklist, this is something, you can make your own, but just making sure you get all of these things every single time. And you do a check-in in the middle of the year, you do a check-in right before they're about to upgrade, having so everything is just very streamlined. Do they have their hours up to date? Do you have all their logs? Are you able to contact their site supervisor or their internal supervisor, like Ashley was talking about in another episode? Do they have multiple sites? Do you have the sites information? Which is why you need a planner. It's not like this is school where we have a planner and we're going to have curriculum and every month is going to be different, and it's not that kind of a planner, but it's a planner where you can keep track of where your supervisee is, who is supervising them, what are the rules at their site. Can you go take a look at their notes, or do you need to sign a HIPAA waiver? What sorts, and speaking of HIPAA, a planner can help you document the HIPAA training that you insisted that your supervisee take, because supervisor, that is one of the things I absolutely recommend that you do with all of your supervisees, unless they can show you their own little certificate that says, hey, I understand HIPAA. You give them your own training or send them to somebody else, but making that a part of your onboarding checklist, and then making sure that you every year see that they get their HIPAA training. And yes, if you're asking me, does HIPAA come along and say, hey, you have to be HIPAA trained every year? No, HIPAA doesn't say that. Is that a best practice? 100%. So I hope your brain is kind of churning here about all of the cool, wonderful trainings you could require of your supervisee, even if your state doesn't say that they have to have continuing education. I mean, insisting that they take a telemental health course, just a short one, not an expensive one, but just to understand the ins and outs of telemental health, because their university, if they did give them a training, Ashley talked about this before, not all programs are different. Not all people pay attention in class. So you're getting this person who may be delivering 90% of their services via telemental health, and they've never had a class in it. They don't understand the ins and outs, or what to do if you look on camera and your client is having a heart attack, right? Then what? So a planner and an onboarding checklist. That's me. All right, Ashley, your turn.
Yeah. So I'm going to piggyback and shift it a bit. My second hack is use technology. Use whatever you have access to help yourself out. If you are a hand jammer, if you want to go super low tech with it, have at it. Do whatever feels best for you. But using technology, and for me, as someone who had at the highest quite a few supervisees, but again, that's what I was doing all day, every day with supervision, but across multiple states, tracking and being able to monitor where people were, what they were working on, what they needed was really, really important. And using something as simple as like an Excel sheet or Google Drive where they can actually contribute and have an ongoing log or whatever it is that you want is the thing that saved me innumerable times. So in some of my states, there are things like 6-month reviews that you're required to do and turn in. More states than I wish. And it's just because it's a lot more work on us to do. But when we were talking about specifically in Kate Walker training, when we were talking about those OERs, the evaluation, the orientation, being able to track, okay, when did we turn in our paperwork? So that if the board loses it, I know when that supervisee finished up everything, got their packet together, and sent it off. I can track, okay, I want my first evaluation to be 3 months in or 6 months in or whatever. I put the date, and then I am a nerd, so I conditionally format it to turn red when it's within the month that needs to happen in. If there are things like 6-month reviews or yearly reviews or whatever else that the board may require in whatever state you're in, I document that. I document the date they had that HIPAA training or that date that I told them they needed to finish the Body Keeps the Score or whatever else. And keep track of these things, because if you're working with any more than one or two supervisees, you can kind of get confused about what you told who to do what with. And if you lose those dates, I have, and this is, I didn't bring it up in the top mistakes, but in one of the states, I had a supervisee get really confused about the dates that they needed to do something in, and it caused their license to lapse. Now, whose fault was that necessarily? I think it was some confusion on the board's part. I think it was some missed opportunities for me and some missed opportunities for the supervisee. But ultimately, it caused a problem that all of us had a hand in. Getting that technology to help you when your memory isn't the strongest because maybe you have other clients or you're teaching or you have a side gig at the bodega down the street, whatever it is, like use the resources that you have available to help you. And maybe you don't need it. Maybe you have a mind like it's still a trap, but all of us make mistakes and all of us forget things. Have that backup, have that technology, and bonus points if the supervisee can also get access to it so they can see what it is that they need to do so that it's not just all you monitoring all of this stuff going on.
I'm so glad you talked about a shared drive and just making sure that your supervisee can access that. I know for me, I had a Dropbox folder called Supervisees Bring to Supervision Every Week. Like that, it was just a super long name, but I never wanted
Yeah.
anybody to be confused about what they needed to bring me every week. So, yeah, all of that. So, I hope as you're listening, you're starting to hear, yeah, this is a lot different from counseling, but I also hope you're starting to hear that it's so doable. It
Yeah,
really is doable, and there is a simple way to get it done and to build the systems you need. Um,
absolutely.
so, my second hack is a short one, but it's one that I think a lot of supervisors get confused about with their supervisee, because you'll have supervisees who work at sites that will provide their malpractice insurance. Okay, well, if you think that all the way through, what's really happening is your supervisee is going to be covered by an umbrella of a, 1 million, 3 million, 3 million, 5 million, whatever it is, insurance, malpractice insurance policy. And so if you take that and divide it by the 25 people who work there, at the end of the day, that's not a lot. It's not a lot of coverage, and it leaves you and your supervisee kind of raw and open to stuff if things go south. So, easy hack here is to require your supervisee to have their own personal malpractice insurance. It's not that expensive. We are not anesthesiologists and heart surgeons who are going to pay thousands and thousands of dollars for malpractice insurance. What we do is as important, I think, as those professions. So don't get me wrong about that. But requiring a new counselor or social worker to get their own malpractice insurance is absolutely my number one hack, even though I listed it at number two. And then use your planner, whether it's a paper planner or a digital planner, to track the date that malpractice insurance expires. That was one of the most, it felt really good to be able to sit with my supervisees and say, oh, hey, Jane, I noticed that this is the month your malpractice insurance expires. So I need you to upload a new certificate to our shared Google Drive. And I need you to do that by, January 25th. And if they don't have that done, well, that's, I may have consequences, ranging from, okay, you need to do it right now while I'm watching you, to I don't want you to see clients until you get this certificate up to date and get your malpractice insurance. So that's my number
Hmm.
two hack.
Absolutely. My number three is a little bit also of a shameless plug. I take a course that gets you ready. And this is obviously for people who aren't supervisors yet. There's a lot of courses out there. There's a lot of information out there, and there's a lot of people that don't actually prepare you. They may prepare you in abstract and like all of these things could happen, but having the ability to finish this course with paperwork that you can use, with templates that you can use, with information you can use on day one, and to build those systems and to build those practices that keep you a solidified, happy, healthy, well supervisor, I think is unmatched in our Kate Walker training. And that is why we built it the way that we built it. We want to make sure that you have tangible resources that you can take with you. I felt like, great, I have all this information, but I don't really know how to get started. And I don't know the first step to do so. And I think that having a course that prepares you for the work is so important. And so get yourself an amazing Kate Walker training course that actually gives you those resources so that you are 10 steps forward the minute that you graduate the course rather than feeling like me, a little lost in the sauce.
I don't think that's a shameless plug at all. I think that's just fact, and I love it.
Yes.
And if you are a supervisor, well, join one of our monthly workshops. We have monthly live virtual workshops where we do case consultation. We bring in a speaker. We don't record the darn thing because we want everybody to feel free and open to ask questions. So yeah, we give so much support, and so the last hack for me, because I don't want to overshadow taking the course. Take the course, take the course. But one of the things we do teach, and it's a huge part of our supervision courses, are systems, obviously, because we're talking about systems, but making sure that your supervisees leave with a copy of everything. Whether your state requires you to have something in your agreement about what happens if you terminate your practice or if you pass away or something happens to you or not, you need to have something that helps your supervisees not get hung out to dry if something happens to you. I've seen so many cases in front of our licensing boards here where the supervisor has unfortunately passed away and the supervisee can't access their notes, or they can't access the logs that are required by the state to give evidence that they can upgrade. Right, because if you aren't around to sign that paperwork and submit it to the board, they can't. At least in Texas, there's not a whole lot people can do about that. So one remedy, and this hack is I think one of the best ones we have, is just making sure that your supervisee leaves with a copy of the notes. So if they're handwriting notes and then you look at the note, you say, yep, that's everything I talked about. I'm going to sign it. You sign it. You throw it onto this. I don't know. Do they have scanners anymore? I'll take a picture of it on your phone. I don't know. But somebody gets a digital copy and somebody gets the real copy. And everybody, at the end of the day, has a copy of everything. So you don't even need to worry about it. If at least you may have more to worry about, but you won't need to worry about that if something happens to you and your supervisee is left, right? Because they'll have all the evidence they need to do their upgrade. And yes, we do teach that in the Kate Walker training supervisor courses. So yeah, those are my 3 hacks. Ashley, you got any more?
I think that's it. Probably more for sure, but all that's on the top of my head. And I think what we've given is just such a good foundation for starting the process and getting out there and starting to help in our hugely needful communities, rural or urban, across the country. I mean, this is something that is, for all of the things that are going on in the world, there are more and more mental health clinicians getting put out into the field who are unprepared, who are unknowledgeable, who don't know the first thing about what they're doing. We need supervisors. We need you. and it's really fun. I don't think Kate or I would be doing this if it wasn't also a lovely mix of impactful and really cool and really fulfilling and really inspiring to launch these supervisees out into the world and watch them just take life by the horns. It's incredible, and we would love to have you on the journey.
And I feel the same way. And helping raise these folks into your colleague, I know it's like I'm talking about raising chickens. No, helping these folks become your colleagues, it doesn't have to add 10 more things to your plate. And I hope that if you listen to these episodes and check out our other ones, things I wish I knew before I started supervising and the top mistakes supervisors make. One of the things I hope we leave you with is this desire to have an amazing supervision experience, to create an amazing supervision experience, and the systems and the tools to do so. So happy supervising. If this helped you make supervising easier and more sustainable, hit like, tap subscribe, and grab your onboarding checklist at katewalkertraining.com/checklist so you can build the systems to keep your supervision running smoothly.